Going over to the cultural part podcast, you have a man allegedly flashing a woman at YMCA, and YMCA just says, no, it's okay. He can be there. He identified as a woman. Yet another reason to not use public gyms. That's one of the bougie things I have in my life. I'm very extremely blessed to be in a situation where I could rent a house where I actually put some gym equipment in so I can just work out at home, which also good for time optimization. I don't have to go to the gym, but you do lose that sense of community. Though my pet rock does cheer me on when I'm doing the bench press, but I partially digress. This is brought to us thanks to Lives at TikTok, and kudos for Shia for calling him out. And she says, quote, breaking, a man in the North Kansas City YMCA in Missouri reportedly entered the women's locker room and geez Louise, I try to keep this moderately family friendly, exposed his private part to a 7-year-old girl and her mother. When confronted by the mother, the man reportedly said, honey, I'm a woman, which maybe I will mock. You can kind of guess his tone, but I won't go there for now. And she continues to say, quote, the YMCA released a statement saying, quote, individuals are allowed to use the locker room or restroom they identify with. Then she says local police have opened an investigation for the indecent exposure, allegedly, or to have that little caveat there. And yeah, I think it is crazy to think YMCA is, young men's Christian. So, I mean, people forget it used to be religiously based. The YMCA has fallen worse than the Catholic Church and the previous pope. It's like they forgot their whole meaning and whole core, which is disappointing to say the least. And this is one of those viral things she's posted all year, and it got 17.3 million views and 61,000 likes. And it's about a little video here. Sorry, I should put a visual disclaimer. So many boring, bland, white SUVs. But obviously that's not the core of the story. Without too much further ado.
It was less than 10 days ago when a Metro mother and her daughter had finished up swimming lessons where she says hundreds of children attended. They went to the women's locker room to change. That's when she says she heard a man's voice. She then decided to leave, but as she and her child walked out of the stall, they encountered a naked man, his privates on full display. She asked what in the world he was doing. The woman claims he said something to the effect of, quote, honey, I'm a woman. She and her child then sprinted out of the...
It's also a big red flag. I've never heard a real man. I've never heard... I mean, some terms are just like a red flag, like a guy saying honey.
The locker room. That woman spoke to Fox 4 on Monday, and she says they were not the only ones who saw.
My 11-year-old does use that locker room, especially after we go to the pool. And in there, you either have the closed down showers or you kind of try to change as quickly as possible. So it's definitely shocking and something that we'll be looking out for a little bit more.
The YMCA tells Fox 4 it's investigating the matter, saying in part, we follow all state and local laws and individuals are allowed to use the locker room or restroom that they identify with. At the North Kansas City YMCA, we also have 4 private universal changing rooms available, separate from the larger shared locker rooms, for anyone who prefers the privacy they offer.
Now, this is also sad because I really can't think of a public gym these days that is a safe place. I mean, Planet Fitness famously loves everyone to use whatever restroom they want to. They got roasted last year for those terrible commercials. And you also have LA Fitness. Same thing. They had those little placards, which they paid for the nice placards. This wasn't a piece of 3-cent printer paper. They got the fancy placards that cost the actual dollars at LA Fitness that also say you can use whatever restroom you want. Yeah, so, I mean, I especially if I have children, it's hard to say where you should work out. And I think working out is one of the best things you can do for your health, mentally and physically. Thankfully, you can do a lot of calisthenics at home, push-ups, sit-ups, using your own body weight. But aside from the point, it's got, again, 17.3 million views and 61,000 likes. Scrolling down to the comments, one of the first ones comes from Beth Bourne, saying, quote, same thing is happening at the Berkeley YMCA, but women have had enough. DM me if you're in NorCal and want to get individuals at our YMCA protest. Getting 6.3 thousand likes. Happening all over. Gunther Eagleman says, quote, the man should be locked up and away for children for life. Getting 6.5 thousand likes. Yeah. Unfortunately, sanity is a rare thing in the United States these days. I mean, culturally, I do think the average person I don't think they realize this type of shenanigans and perversions are happening in the real world. I think if everyone realized that, there'd be a lot more protest against YMCA, and maybe we'll see a chain reaction. But yeah, I don't think a lot of people just think these are myths. They don't see it actually happen in the real world. Oh, it is. Well, disappointed. Planet of memes. I'll say alleged planet of memes, because yet again they do not have a meme. He says, "Quote: Doesn't the CYMCA stand for Christian? Yeah, it used to. Getting 773, it's making 70, 74 likes. Yeah, used to be a place to help people out. Used to be have morals and values. Granted, so the Catholic Church. Now, again, it's individual churches and actual places of worship. Some are good. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, past couple years, seeing what the Vatican stance, our main issues are. Many people of faith have been greatly disappointed by that organization, especially when it comes to protecting children or lack thereof, where they move offenders around. Yeah, I think that's why. I think that's one of the major contributing factors of why religious affiliations are decreasing, or one of the variables. Libercat Media TM says, "Quote: It's not the drag queens you have to be worried about," or these are quotes of quotes. "Trans people just want to exist, not expose themselves. Worry about churches, not trans people. All the things that leftists say, then this happens," getting 600 likes, which, again, you should also focus on the churches, and the biggest offender people do not talk about, public schools, actually. One of the biggest vectors of child abuse. Sarah Smith, I should maybe clarify this for the YouTube rules. I do not at all believe, what do you say this? This is not supposed to be violent, or I'm not advocating violence. Little caveat there. Now, Sarah Smith says, quote: "I think we need to start implementing the death penalty for PDFs," which, yeah, one of the most sad, perverse things about the United States in terms of justice or lack thereof. And again, I'm not original in this analysis or this observance. One of my friends was looking at a meme, we were talking about it. He says, in the United States, if a child is hurt by a dog, you put the dog down. If a human hurts a child, they go to jail for a year or two and they're let out. Pretty messed up that, yeah, children are not more greatly protected in all ways, not just from physical animals. Now, they also have a picture of a gal holding a poster board saying TED PDFs don't reoffend, getting 4.3 thousand likes. This is true. It's a funny meme made by Artemis, saying, quote, which is a picture of a man in a trench coat flashing. It says, "Pervert, old sex offender." That's the same man with a dog. What? A dog mask on? It looks like it made of leather. And as the trans flag, it says, "Pride, free expression." Okay, 1.3 thousand likes, which is a good, it's true. Kind of reminds me of the average modern pride parades, which they used to be, clothed. Nowadays, yeah, mostly naked and exposing themselves to children, which, yeah, that's illegal, but they get away with it. Let's see. Going down more and more. Crossfires, this is a good story. Well, not good because something bad happened, but good in terms of justice, which seems to be a rare thing these days. Crossfire says, quote, "A man followed a girl into a bathroom and he started identifying as a woman. The man's teeth were knocked out by the girl's father, who identified as the tooth fairy," getting 6.5 thousand likes. Which I've seen. I wish there's an article to the specific instance of that happening. I've heard about that for a while. I'm trying to remember where it actually took place. Hopefully it's just not a modern myth. What's up? The Purple Whale says, quote, "I hear this happens daily at Planet Fitness in Bellevue. A person with a penis sits in a locker room." Oh, geez Louise. With, who is there's a lot of blood in that area, and watches people change. They cannot or will not do anything against it because they're accused of being intolerant, getting 712 likes, which I think that word intolerant is becoming less and less effective these days in terms of social ostracization. And I think a lot of people are just saying, I don't care anymore. It's kind of like the term racist. I mean, in the 90s, just saying that word would scare everyone. You'd be canceled, your life be ruined. And again, racism is disgusting, but they've expanded that use and expanded what they consider what racism to be to the point where it's lost all meaning. So I think we're culturally getting there to the point where people say, "Yeah, I don't care. You can call me intolerant. I do not care. Men should not be changing inside the girls' locker rooms." So hopefully these companies actually change their policies. Again, I do think culturally speaking, we had a shift in the United States, partially symbolized by Trump winning the populist, election, or the, not just the electoral college, but the popular vote. But let me know, do you think the average person realizes this is happening? And then do you think the average person thinks men should be able to change in women's locker rooms? Let me know in the comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Again, trying to get to 5,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you click that button, I greatly appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.